Now, a probe launched by the European Space Agency has taken the most close-up pictures so far of the sun, and some of those results depict what are euphemistically called campfires, which might well explain a mystery surrounding the sun's temperature. We're joined now on News Talk by Dr. David Berghmans, astrophysicist at the Royal Observatory of Belgium. Afternoon, David. And the pictures you've taken, you've managed to take so far, and they are, of course, spectacular. How can you take pictures, point a camera towards something so bright, and still get images back?
Yeah, so that was the big engineering challenge of this mission. The whole spacecraft is protected by a special designed heat shield. But of course, if you want to image the sun, you need to make holes in that heat shield and let the heat come through. So this has been like a trade-off balance between engineers that want to be protective as possible to the spacecraft and try to be safe, while the scientists want that little hole to be as big as possible to take the best possible pictures.
And one of the things that you've seen, and I mentioned it there in the introduction, was what you're calling campfires. Now, this is like a mini flare on the surface of the sun. Is that correct?
That's totally correct, yes.
Now, when we say mini, that's in proportion to the larger flares. How big is it? How small is a mini flare?
It's about 1 million to 1 billion times smaller than the biggest flares. So they come over a very large range from the biggest ones to the tiniest ones we see now. And so it's easily a factor 1 billion, say.
Right. And this perhaps would explain why the surface of the sun seems to be cooler than the corona of the sun.
That's right. So we're looking for an explanation why the high atmosphere of the sun is hotter than the heat source itself, the sun. And so one has checked this, and the big flares, although they have an enormous amount of energy, they're not powerful enough to heat this whole corona. And so the hypothesis is now that perhaps it's the small ones, which each of them is totally insignificant, but if you sum them up all by the billions, then perhaps they can heat the corona. Right. And so the big surprise in these images is that these little flares that we see now, they're surprisingly bright and sharp and dynamic. So there seems to be a whole lot of energy in it, and that's very promising.
And are there a lot of them?
We see them everywhere we look, down to the resolution of our telescope.
Right. Okay. But would there be enough of them to generate this amount of heat?
Possibly, yes. So these are only the very first images. The deep analysis still has to come, so we cannot say for sure yet. But it looks for sure very promising.